Welcome everyone to Holistic Life Transformation Review. My name is Rene, and today we talk about MosaLingua, which is a language learning app. So you might ask, what does a language app has to do with holistic life transformation? Well, at the first, it might seem not much, and we are not here to learn languages. But I will tell you that since I choose to learn this language, I actually did something else much less, which is reading news. And I found that reading news or other sort of mainstream media or watching videos and so on, I will waste a lot of time. I don't feel happy, and it is basically not helping me in any way. And by choosing to learn a new language, I eliminate this feeling of doing something useless with my time I have, especially when you have a short break or you want to relax a bit, or um, you take out your phone and you do things you rather wouldn't do or shouldn't do if you are kind of worried about your time or concerned. And I was, and my decision was to choose to do something else with my time that I had. And one thing that came up was to learn a new language. And because of that, I want to share with you as well what language app I use and why I'm using it. And if you like it, you might think to do the same. If you always wanted to learn a language, wanted to do something else which is out of your comfort zone, but you never did because you say you don't have time, you don't have the resources, you don't have the skills, it's not your thing, you're not a language guy, which sounds all very plausible, but it's simply not true. And this is actually the deeper meaning also behind this video, is that you can learn anything you want. You can achieve anything you want. And a language as hard as Russian or any other language which seems hard for you is nothing but a matter of practice, of repetition and practice. Like, if you don't do it, you will never learn it. And it's not about being a language guy or lady. It is about how much effort you put into it. And you don't need to know, when you learn the language in the school. What I blamed myself for was we had it all in the class, and next day you forgot everything you knew. All the new words, the grammar rules, and you feel like you're a failure because you don't know how to speak. And it might be related to many things, like the type of lesson you received, the teacher you had, your motivation at the time, reason for learning the language. Was it because you had to or because you wanted to? Or did you actually have something in mind? Or like you want to learn it for a certain reason, or you don't want to learn it at all? And all these things might actually had an impact on how you see yourself in terms of learning a language. And you might not know that by changing your awareness about that, your perception about yourself and the history you keep telling yourself, you can actually change it by just doing something new, something different. And this app is actually a really good way, in my opinion, to get started, to do that and to choose something, to do something new, which is outside of your comfort zone, and helps you to do something you've never done before, like learning a new language. For my background, I am German native speaker. I speak English on a daily basis, so I have learned it as good as I can at the moment. I'm still using it, I'm still improving. You still might hear that I'm a not native speaker, but as you see, it is possible to speak a language fluently that is not your native language. And of course, you know that, but it's not because I was born that way. It's because I learned practicing. I started practicing after school when I felt like I didn't have the skills I want to have. I started reading books in English. I started reading Daniel Defoe, Robinson Crusoe, or Charles Dickens, some of his most famous works. And from there on, I uh, went more into the technical English for my work. And now in my company, we speak also English on a daily basis and so on. And all my videos I do, posts I write, is also English. So I'm quite into it. But never perfect, of course. There are all things I still need to learn and know. And I'm far from that in terms of Russian. But what I can say, I have been one time in Russia so far and 2 times in Kazakhstan. And the first time in Russia, I didn't know anything about Russian at all. So I picked some of the stuff up there, some of the letters, the Cyrillic alphabet, which is if you don't know it, you don't know what you're reading, what you're seeing. But already staying in Russia for a couple of weeks helped me to get a bit of this knowledge, but I forgot it again because I didn't use Russian. Then I went to Kazakhstan and I had zero knowledge of whatsoever. And by the time I knew I'm gonna go to Kazakhstan again, which was last year, I started to upfront to look into this app, MosaLingua, and I started to learn some of the basics. I selected what I will show you also in a second. You can select your focus, what you want to learn on, what you want to specialize on. And I choose to speak with people. And although I was far from anything, I couldn't speak, I couldn't say anything proper, but I picked up some words that I learned before, and I could communicate much better than I could the year before. And at that time, I had maybe 4 weeks of training with this app, and I wasn't at zero. I was still at a very low level, but this very low level was much higher than the year before, where I couldn't say anything at all. And this is already a big difference that I noticed. And I thought I will just keep moving from there. I will not stop. And by now, as you see here, this is the start page. So again, for you, if you haven't noticed yet, this app is called MosaLingua, and you have different language options. So you can learn Russian, French, German, English, and Spanish, I would say, Italian maybe. And so you have to look what else is available. I choose Russian because it's a language I'm not familiar with. I speak English, German, a bit of Italian, and I had French at school, but I would not say I'm anything. Yeah, I could survive, let's say, in France or French-speaking countries, but I'm nowhere near being able to speak it. Anyway, I like to focus on Russian now, and because of my work, and I might go there again. And my goal is to be much better Russian speaker and being able to understand what's being spoken about. And my goal is to improve and I'm on my way to get there. As you see, I have learned 597 cards, which can either have a word or a sentence, a phrase, and 127 of these are in my long-term memory, and my current streak is 148 days in a row. And as you see, the way they approach this, they repeat the words that you learn based on your feedback that you give. So if you say you remember easily, you say it was a good or perfect memory you have about this word, it will put this card into your long-term memory. If you say it was difficult or you couldn't remember, then of course it will show up more often and repeat it until you find yourself that you know it better. And okay, let's have a quick look into the practice. So here you can see this is one of the cards. You can either you type it in, or you can just say you can just turn it around, or you type also in the the words. And if you say I remember or not, you can say again it was difficult, which will then say it's not in your long-term memory, and you can say it was good or perfect. You also have the option to hear it. If you not sure if you can hear it now. Can you hear it? So you hear the lady speaking, and to hear the pronunciation, you can also click and get the overview of this card, and you can also go back. And you see here also initiating the conversation. So you basically have this category, and you see all other words or phrases in this category. In this case, the ones that I already learned. And you can say, okay, in this case, I might not remember. So I still have 45 to practice. So half, what does the half mean? Palavina. I say I could remember. Okay, difficult, but I did. It's now 44 to remember, to practice for the day. Wet is mokri, and I can say, okay, I remember that one. And then you just flick through your thing what you have to learn. I think it's nice if you have, you have some time in between your lunch break, or just waiting for the bus, or sitting in the bus, or doing something which allows you to play with your phone, not driving. And so you have the chance, which you normally do anyway, every, I don't know how many times an hour you play with your phone. So why not do something useful, like learning a couple of flashcards here and learn a new language. And the more you do it, the better you get. And you will be surprised how good you get at remembering these words. And I can say that it's quite fun to learn with this app, because you also have, okay, I practice now, and I can show you a bit more. So you have different categories, different lists, different things you can focus on, and you have grammar lessons. And I started really as an absolutely beginner, so I am not into the grammar yet so much. There were some basic rules, but there's still a lot of things I have to learn and increase my level and so on. but it's already quite something which I did so far. Here you can choose which card you want to learn. Either you create your own cards. You can select different levels. And for me, I feel like I'm still at level 0 or level 1. And I also have to say I have this long streak of 148 days, which you can see here also, the statistics, progress graphic. So here you see how many cards I've learned. I started in last year, somewhere in June, and since then I had some noticeable progress. However, I am also have to be honest, I'm not my average is not that high. So I learn not that many cards a day, and yeah, you can of course increase it. Here you have a leaderboard, so you can compare yourself with others, and can be quite fun if you challenge yourself. My best achievement so far is having a long streak of learning, but it doesn't mean I'm good at the amount of cards I learn. But this alone, knowing that I have spent 147 days in a row, keeps me going. And every day I spend a couple of minutes just repeating what I learned, and ideally learning five new cards or 10 new cards, depending on the difficulty. I have days where I don't learn anything at all. I just repeat, and then I do a bit more once in a while. And what else I can show you? Okay, let's go here. So basically, these are you have an overview, the menu. You have the practice session category, which I just showed you before, where you can just get into the training. You can explore, where you choose a category that you want to learn. You go into the cards here, and you see the symbol here, the one that you already learned, have this shape, like a settings green, like the settings shape, or like a flower shape, or whatever this is. So I'm learning this one, and the round one I haven't learned yet, and you can actually add it, or you can put it on your list and you say you want to learn it. You see, I want to learn this flashcard, so now it's on my list, and it will show up in my next learning session. So after you practice, I have now 41 cards. Once I have done all these, I can select to learn new cards, which will be then shown as a new way of learning. So normally it starts with you hearing them, saying acoustically the new word, new phrase. Then you try to memorize them. After that, you write them down. So as I show you here, you can turn it over or you just write it. So you will also have, once you learn it, you have this practice to actually write it. Like in here, you have the alphabet and the letters. So, and this is how you write it. Then you memorize it, and then it's in your new list of cards you have to learn. And then you have hands-free, which is quite cool. So here you can basically press play, and it will tell you the word, and you have some time to repeat it. So you see wet, and
I also think that
now you have time to think about it. What is it? It's in Russian, and this will just run through.
Thank you for being patient. Спасибо за терпение.
So I think this is quite cool. And you can actually say that you do the ones that you already learned, how many cards you want to learn, thinking time, and learn while you sleep. So you can actually listen to this while you sleep, and your subconscious mind will pick it up. And I actually never tried it, but I think it's quite powerful when you listen to this while you sleep, and your subconscious mind just picks it up. And okay, search, you can look up a word that you want to learn, your progress, which is again this one, and your settings. So here you can actually say what kind of level you have and the learning objective. So let's go into the learning objective first. So here you see I want to just speak and socialize, so I want to have kind of some words, phrases that help me to speak. And you can of course change to be travel, work and do business, do it for your for grades at school, pass an exam, or other reasons which you might have to specify, or maybe you can then focus on whatever you want. So for me, it is speak and socialize. And the level test. So here you can do a test for your language level. For me, I don't know this one. I don't know this one. So basically, you can test your level, and I did it before, and I got like an A1 level, which is a beginner level. And yeah, so this is the app. I can recommend you. You can also learn the other way around. So I can learn Russian English, or I learn the level. You see, you can select the levels, and I stick that one. So leaderboard. So yeah, this is basically the overview about this app, and hope you like this review. And if you feel you have any questions about MosaLingua, or if you have any experience in learning it, let me know. Just to summarize again, I want you to understand or take away from this that you can do anything you want. You can learn anything you want, and there's literally no excuse not to do something. So in this particular case, I also have the premium app, so I pay for it. You don't have to do that. You can use it without. I'm not quite sure how the app looks like on the normal app, or if it's even available in Russian. But I know there are some apps or some versions of it are for free. But I wanted to learn it, and I was willing to invest in myself to learn this language. And I'm still learning it. I'm not able to speak at the moment, but I'm onto it. I think when you reach 1,000 words or 1,500, 2,000, then you get more and onto a level where you can follow a conversation and also participate. And this is where I want to get at. So hope you, yeah, if you like or not like to learn language, it's up to you. But just be aware that you can learn anything you want. All it takes is practice and dedicated time on a daily basis. And once you make your mind up, there's literally nothing that can hold you back. And this little financial investment actually is good for your commitment. If it would all be for free, you wouldn't be committed to do it. But if you invest in it, and the more you invest, the more committed you become, because you want to get something for your investment and for your commitment. So with this being said, have a nice day. This was a review, and see you in the next review video. And from now on, it's going to be less about this kind of apps, but more about self-improvement programs and systems courses that I use. And this is more like a side kick if you want. So have a nice day and talk to you soon. Bye bye.